Some 200 years ago, we began to burn fossil fuels in vast quantities to fuel an industrial revolution. Powering our modern world releases huge quantities of gases into the thin layer of atmosphere surrounding our Earth. These gases trap heat like a greenhouse. Our Earth is warming. Our polar ice caps are melting. Our sea levels are rising. January 2019 was the hottest month ever recorded in Australia. It followed the hottest December. Our heat waves are longer and more frequent. Bushfires start earlier and are much larger. Floods and supercharged storms are more frequent. Our weather is becoming more volatile. Much of the city of Hobsons Bay is low-lying. We had floods in 1919 and again in 1963. There were floods in 1977 and again in 1983. Floods again in 2005 and 2010. In 2014, most of the Esplanade flooded. Our floods are happening more frequently. Melbourne Water predicts storm surges of 1.8 metres in Port Phillip Bay by the year 2040. This is modelling of a 1.8 metre storm surge. All of the Esplanade, almost to Queen Street, is flooded. Half of Seaholm is flooded. The water surges up Civic Parade and threatens the council building. Millers Road floods past Queen Street. Over towards Pier Street, Logan Reserve is underwater. The western end of the Esplanade and most of Doug Grant Reserve is flooded. Melbourne Water predicts a combination of sea level rise and storm surge for the year 2100 is 2.4 metres. This is what a 2.4 metre storm surge looks like. Almost all of Seaholm is flooded. Civic Parade floods and the council building is surrounded. Down towards the Esplanade, Millers Road has flooded past the railway line. Over at the end of Pier Street, Logan Reserve is underwater and Coles is flooded. Most of the western end of Altona is underwater and the centre of Doug Grant Reserve is an island. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration have found ice sheets in Antarctica and Greenland are melting more rapidly than first thought. Their worst-case scenario now predicts a global sea level rise of 2 to 2.4 metres by the end of this century. If they are right, then this isn't possible storm surge, it is inevitable. If we do nothing to reduce greenhouse gases within the lifetime of a child born today, much of Hobsons Bay will be permanently underwater. At Council, we're planning for higher temperatures, less rain and more storms. We're changing the way we construct and power our buildings. We're greening our vehicles and encouraging low-impact transport. We're redesigning our drains and changing the way we manage our foreshore. We're raising the height of seawalls and constructing new retaining walls. We're working with local businesses, supporting them to change to low emissions power. We're aiming for zero net community emissions by 2030. The Council partners with Green Cross Australia Witness King Tides program. Each year, on the highest tide of the year, volunteers from across Australia photograph the king tide. They are part of a national citizen science project. Their images and data will help scientists and engineers better understand the rate and effect of sea level rise in Hobsons Bay. The challenges of climate change are enormous. Council is working with and supporting the community so that together we can meet that challenge. Council's annual community environment grants programs and community conservation programs like Cool Streets enable residents, community groups, schools, kindergartens and other groups to implement environmental projects. Join with your community. Get involved with your local environmental community group. Come along to our information and educational workshops and events. Find out about our Sustainability Leadership Program. Something as simple as a conversation with your neighbour can begin to make real change. Join with us. Together we create a better future.